Mozart was 11 when he wrote this piece, which is obviously totally extraordinary and outrageous. It's a battle, really, a battle of wills between the sort of righteous need to do good and the other side of the coin, which is the desire to have fun and not think about the future and just live every moment for itself. So we have the lapsed Christian, a lazy guy that's sort of discovered at the beginning of the piece, fast asleep, and symbolises lethargy and apathy. And these allegorical figures argue over his soul, and they debate the merits of living a fastidiously, steadfastly religious life, against which there's this worldly spirit who's tempting him to party and drink and just have a good time. The idea that he had a group of 5 singers and a professional orchestra at his disposal, he just seemed to treat them like toys, in the best sense. You know, he just had fun with them, and the colours that he creates are just really vibrant and extreme, actually. But for me, the interest is in how much of it is really quite sort of left field and unpredictable. He just took these things into his system and was able to come out with music that was in the style of the music he heard, but ludicrously better. It's almost like a different composer, but it's startlingly good and very, very colourful, really vibrant, bright colours, as you'd expect in a way from a child.
I think there's definitely there's a naivety that you can hear in some of, especially in some of the accompanied recitatives, because some of the word painting is a little, I guess, immature. But then once you get to the sort of full arias and stuff, as you say, it's really cool. It's still, or distinctively Mozart.
Yeah, it's definitely Mozart. You can definitely tell it's Mozart when you're listening to it.
Du sollst Gesundheit und Vergnügen, der Seele Heil und Ruhe forthin genießen.
The more of this music we explore, the easier it becomes to tap into. There was already a shared language, and what I found really gratifying and rewarding about the whole rehearsal and recording process was the speed of language and the speed of reference. So more than usual even, I was able just to say something once or just nudge a thing in a particular direction and feel completely confident that it was totally and immediately taken on board. They've worked with us since they were students, and it's now really a relatively long friendship.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. They're amazing singers and really beautiful. The way they can sing the parts, and you can hear the notes so clearly.
I view part of my job as actually trying to make the singers and the players forget that the red light's there, and just to squeeze out the content of the music and commit to the text and commit to the dramatic situation and just have fun with it. And funnily enough, if on the moments when we're able to achieve that, all those other issues and concerns, like whether it's in tune or whether the collegiate was tight enough and all that stuff, they sort of take care of itself. The goal is to feel that we're composing the music effectively, that we're creating the music rather than recreating something that's already been written down and rehearsed.
I think it has a lot of reference to the Baroque still. The trio, for instance, at the end is very dansant, almost like a dance. Of course, the bravura arias as well, the really fast, runny coloratura arias, they are almost in the Baroque style.
with this earlier repertoire, it's fascinating to see and to experience from within this sense of an 11-year-old child finding their medium in this incredibly formal classical style. I mean, he's obviously in his element. He's experimenting. He's enjoying himself. He's also got his dad looking over his shoulder, which you can kind of sense sometimes in the formality.
What's lovely is that in the score that you saw at Windsor, the original autograph score, there are corrections by Leopold Mozart. And you just think, it's extraordinary, this idea of the father correcting this genius of a son who, the idea of correcting Mozart is extraordinary, but it is.
The other thing I love, I don't know if I told you this, but one of the things that Leopold did is write in page numbers. So it's like, well, I can't really correct the music, but at least I can get it in the right order. Mozart was always, throughout his life, completely obsessed with writing opera. Whenever in his life he was unable to write operas through a lack of a venue or lack of other opportunities, he was profoundly unhappy. And I think these two early pieces taken as a pair, Die Schuldigkeit and Apollo at Hyacinthus, that were written within a few months of each other in Salzburg when he was 11, are just extraordinary. They're quite different pieces, but they share this vibrant dynamism and colour.
Ja, mit ihrem Widerhall hört mein banges Ohr erklingen an noch den Rosenschall.
It's such vivacious music and such an extraordinary sense of latent energy that is such a thrilling thing to discover, because they're so rarely performed, and actually people that have loved Mozart for whole lifetimes quite often don't know these pieces, and to me it's so important to partly just to understand where he came from and how he started off and the trajectory of his life and of his career, but also in their own rights they are amazing pieces, and they require and demand fantastic singing and fantastic playing, and there's certainly nothing juvenile about them. They're fully crafted and fully worked out pieces of art.
Mit ihrem Widerhall an noch den
This is why I love his music. There's always the level of humanity in it is just so massive. It was just an intuitive thing he had. He was 11, I think about what I did when I was 11. I certainly didn't write an opera.